There will always be diesel powerhouses out in rural Alaska, but if you could turn them from being your prime source of electricity to something that you turn on in an emergency, that'd be really good. There's a lot of money to be saved and a whole economy that could change.
And on the Nome side, we've also been looking at what does it actually mean for them to incorporate 2 megawatts of geothermal? How does that interact with their wind farm? How does that interact with their existing diesel generators and the things that they're doing today?
I think the city and the utility are very interested in the potential of Pilgrim Hot Springs coming on board. If we could get a good base load coming out of there that could help us with the removal of some of the diesel use, and then also provide a buffer for us when the wind does not blow. It just would be a hybrid system there that would be of great benefit to the community.
What do the economics of power production out of this resource look like? I mean, what should the cost of power be? Does this seem to make any sense? It's relatively unusual to have a relatively small amount of power, 2 megawatts or so, support on the order of 60 miles of transmission line into Nome.
When you manage to find a solution to turn your diesels completely off, there are much more savings to be had than just a displaced fuel. If you look at the mix of costs that are flowing into the cost per kilowatt hour produced from a diesel generator, then only 40 to 50% of the costs are fuel costs. The rest are operation and maintenance costs.
The first thing that I did when I was brought into the project was to try to understand whether there was an economic project here or not. When I first looked at this, I thought, well, this doesn't make any sense at all. I can't figure out how this hunts. Then I realized the reason why it works is right now, substantially, is because there are federal income tax credits which are available for the production of geothermal energy. And they're also expiring.
We're a research organization at the university, and so we're not in the business of developing projects. We have been doing the higher risk exploration work that's been funded using public dollars, and now what we really need to see is private sector step up and do what they do best and really develop a project and move it forward.
Developing a power plant at Pilgrim is only a small part of the equation. It's 60 miles away, and so we need a transmission line to come into it. That certainly is a dramatic variable in the economics of this. We need pretty much certainty that the resource is available before there's the potential for investment to actually export it and bring it into town.
What's unusual about this project for Alaska is that we have a private developer, the telco, interested in picking up the project and moving it forward, where that's really the lion's share of the investment dollars. Something like $40 million needs to be spent from here moving forward. For that private investment to occur, the investor needs to know, well, if I spend a bunch of money, am I sure that you're going to buy my power? And the surety is provided by the power purchase agreement with the Nome utility. So Nome bound itself to agree, yeah, up to 2 megawatts of power that you produce and deliver to me, I'll take it at this price.
And so that step has taken place. It's probably one of the largest power purchase agreements that's ever been made in the state of Alaska between a private developer and a public body, in this case the city of Nome.
That's why getting this power purchase deal was a big deal. The project needed it to get in place so that the private investor had not only security, but security in a timely way to continue to make progress in the development of that project.
I think a lot of times we think of ourselves as being too small and too remote with too small of community bases to be able to attract private sector financing to contribute to these kinds of large-scale projects. And so I'm really hoping that Pilgrim Hot Springs can demonstrate that there are ways that we can attract private dollars into the state, that we can be using public dollars to fund some of the higher risk exploration work, and then we can try to figure out ways to find really positive relationships between private sector and communities. And Nome has really, I think, pioneered this kind of thing where they have more than one now independent power producer. This would be the second one that they have on their grid that they're purchasing power from. And that's something that is unusual in this state. And I think that it's really something that needs to be looked at a little bit more as a way to provide new potential capital and new potential options for generating power in a really sustainable manner long term for some of these communities in Alaska.